All right, let's make a base. We'll start with the chuck. As you can see, very small jaws on it, 3/4 inch hole. Expand those just to get a grip on it so I don't have to hold it. Make sure I get plenty of pressure in there. These 2x are not exactly flat. Again, this is simply pine construction 2x6. Got it at the big box store. And so that's what we're working with today for this entire project. Everything is 2x. This particular case, 2x6. I'll get all 3 pieces that I need out of this. I want to face this off, and then I want to recess in just a little bit, but leave a tenon on the inside. That's just a tip, especially as you're beginning. If you're having trouble getting the right size tenons, take you a set of calipers, and with your jaws closed, run those jaws in over that. Make sure they'll go around the outside, maybe even just a touch tight. This is just a touch tight. They're not stretching or anything, but there is a snug spot there, but that will go in there and fit those jaws just perfectly. Like I said, I'm going to come in just a little bit, maybe 1/4 of an inch, recess in deep enough to leave myself a tenon. I want to take a little bit off the tenon because I want the tenon below this level here. So let's do that. Double checking, make sure my tenon is below the level of my foot, and it is. I'm going to clean it up just a little bit. Then we're going to sand it before we turn it over. Turn the speed down, pull my tool rest back. See if we can get her sanded up just a little bit here. All right, so what we're going to continue by first, I'm going to face this completely off, and then we're going to dish it and leave a hill in the center. But I want to face the whole thing, partly to get rid of all those lines, but also to get rid of this rough outer wood here. Still with the 1/2 inch bowl gouge. That's my tool of choice. My tool rest just a touch. Faced off nicely. Let's scoop it out. Just want to get in here, see what we got. Nice grain that I'm feeling, so that'll sand. I kind of like that. It's got a little bit of a slope in, and then we're back cut just a little bit. This gives a place for rings or necklaces, anything of that nature that can be put on, as well as the wig on top. So let's give that a sand. Back to 100 grit. Slow the lathe back down. Get a little compressed air. See where we're at. This is looking good. It's where it needs to be. A little bit of sanding sealer here. This is the normal process for most everything I do. We'll go ahead and put some on the outside. Matter of fact, I'll probably go ahead and do the inside and the outside and just do the bottom when we turn it around. Oh yeah. Brings out those lovely gold tones that are in the pine. A little bit of abrasive paste. If you've been watching my videos, you're probably thinking I'm seeing a little different view from what I'm used to seeing, and you're right, because I'm only working on this mini lathe. I wanted this to be a little bit of a challenge for anybody who has any turning abilities and turning equipment. So many people start with a mini lathe. This is not the lathe I started on, but it's I actually started on a shopsmith lathe, and then moved to a mini lathe just like this one. My dad owned both of those. I now have the shopsmith that I started on. This is not the mini lathe that I went to, but it's identical to the one we had. My brother-in-law now has it, but I purchased this one when I moved away from my dad's shop. Got my own tools, all of that kind of thing. All right, abrasive paste, we've rubbed it in. Lathe is turned all the way down as far as it'll go. We're just gonna rub it in. Let the grit do its work. I do not want grit or wax down in that hole because a spindle will be glued into that hole. Kind of protective of these calipers. These are some old ones. Again, being careful not to let wax get inside of the center hole. Doesn't take a lot of wax, but you want to cover it. I'm going to give it just a minute to kind of gas off here a little bit. Get a little dry, a little sticky. Some of the solvents evaporate out. They evaporate fairly quickly. Starting to feel it tack up now. There we go. Now, there we go. This lathe does not have a spindle lock, so I use my knockout bar, and they did provide a hole in the spindle for that reason. Let's go back to little pin jaws. Now all that front is done. Before I even put that in, I'm going to go ahead and engrave the bottom with my mark, so that when I wax and all of that, I will be completely done. I'll be right back. All right, maker's mark is on there. I hope you can see that. I'm going to hit it with just a little bit of 320 just to make sure there's no fuzzies left on it. Give it a bit of a air blow. Make sure all the dust is off. Let's put it back on the pin jaws. All right. Abrasive paste goes on. Not a bad idea to rub it just a little bit. It does make sure it gets in there good, but also begins that process of abrading, sanding, if you will. All right, slowest it'll go on this belt. See a little bit of wobble there, that's okay. Throw that one away. Put the lid on my abrasive paste. Open my wax again. This is the same paper towel I used earlier, but that's okay. It's still, everything's still good here. More than enough wax. All right. There we go. Just enough to knock it loose. There you have. There's the base of our wig stand. All right, we'll put that aside. Let's make a top. All right, just like for the bottom, we have a piece of 2x6 pine, construction pine that we bought at one of the big box stores. All right, I'm gonna get my shield back on and we'll get this round. Show you how we're doing this one. It's a little different process. Here we go. We'll round this corner off. We'll face this a little bit and round this corner off. Okay, we have returned the tenon, got it where we need it to be. It was just simply too short and was squeezing itself, the chuck was squeezing the tenon out, spitting it. All right, we're ready to go. We're going to turn this. So we're going to not worry about the bee. Okay, going to clean up this edge, and then we can sand and finish it. Little flat spot right there. All right, dust mask is on. Sanding sealer. Half and half deft lacquer sanding sealer is what I use. So half of the deft lacquer sanding sealer, half lacquer thinner. Doesn't take long, especially thin down, and it does raise the grain. Normally we would take a high grit sandpaper and knock that back. But I'm using abrasive paste. That abrasive paste will take the surface here that I've sanded already to 320, and it will increase that all the way to 1,000 grit, so it'll be nice and smooth when we're done here. Making sure I don't get any of the grit down in that hole, just like with the top a while ago, because I'm going to be gluing a stem in there. All right, turn it all the way down. Use the same part of the paper towel. No residue. All right, let's get a little wax on here. We'll close up the abrasive paste. I'm finally getting where it looks like I might get to the end of that abrasive paste. I started to tell you a while ago. This is a wig stand. Why am I doing a wig stand? I don't wear a wig. My wife does not wear a wig. My son does not wear a wig. So why am I turning a wig stand? Because there are ladies and gentlemen and children out there who have contracted cancer. And in their treatments, quite often they lose their hair. Women particularly have a hard time with that. I understand that. I would have a little bit of a hard time till I got the razor to it. Once I got my razor out and got it all cleaned off, I think I would be okay with it. My wife would have a hard time with my losing my hair. She would have a hard time with losing her hair. So these are for, I'm making a series of these as a part of a challenge that was issued by my wood turning club. My wood turning club is worldwidewoodturners.org, O-R-G. We meet every Wednesday night online. It's a Zoom call. If you would like to check us out, if you'd like to possibly be a member of this team, of this club, maybe a part of this team that's making wig stands, or maybe freedom pins, whatever it is you might like to do, or if you don't want to do anything, you just want to be a part of a club and learn more about wood turning, come and join us on Wednesday nights. We start at unofficially at 7 o'clock Eastern time, officially at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Finish, shut the doors, turn out the lights, somewhere in their neighborhood of 10 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little earlier, sometimes it's a little later, but always somewhere in the vicinity. But you can get in starting about 7 o'clock. There's somebody there who will let you in to the Zoom call. If you'll go to the website, worldwidewoodturners.org, scroll down the page just a little bit and you'll see a button on there that'll say press here to go to meeting. You press that button, and if you've got Zoom installed on your computer, your phone, your pad, your tablet, whatever device you're going to watch on, it will take you right in, and there will be somebody there to admit you. It might take just a minute or two, but we will admit you. Quite often, as soon as I get in, I'm quite often the one who's admitting most of the people. So be glad to have you. There's no charge whatsoever to be a member. All you have to do to be a member is show up. This is our club. Those of us who come and join in, you can come and join in the discussion as much as you want or as little as you want. It's up to you. We have a demonstration, at least one demonstration, almost every single week. We show gallery every single week, and all gallery is what have all the members been doing throughout the week. This past week, I showed my practice wig stand, which brings me back to talking about why I'm doing the wig stands. One of our members, Cade Bolger, he lives in Canada. He has made some, and it kind of took off. He showed them to somebody, and they said, "Oh, cancer patients would love to have those. They get their wigs when their hair falls out. They get wigs, but they don't have a stand to put them on. They got to go out and have another expense of of getting the stand. So he's making the stands. He showed them to us in our group one night, and the challenge was made. Make some wig stands. Take them to your local cancer center. So I'm making, right now I've got one already made. This will be the second one. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, so 5. I'll have 5 that I will make and take to our local cancer center here in northern Kentucky. So I'm excited about that. You can do this too. It's a simple project. This one is starting out as an 8-foot long 2x6. I joked last night, I said I went to and got a small business loan so I could go to the big box store and get a 2x6. They are expensive right now. I was amazed at how expensive construction lumber has gotten. I knew it was. I've been hearing the stories. Flipping over to a clean piece of paper towel so I can buff this up. But there is no set design. There are no set dimensions. A 2x6 works out real good because this top piece, once you get it turned, will end up being right about 5 inches. You really don't want it any larger than that. You can go a little smaller. Between 4 and 5 inches for the top. You can get a 5-inch piece for your bottom. And then a piece of it, I ripped some down to roughly, well, it's 1.5 by 1.5 to turn as spindles. This is a mini lathe. The reason I'm doing it on my mini lathe, a couple of reasons, but the main reason is a lot of people who start out turning, and even after they've been turning for quite a while, they work on a mini lathe and they never go beyond the mini lathe. That's why I'm doing mine on a mini lathe. I want to show everybody that it can be done. It can be done on a mini lathe. It can be done on a much bigger lathe. Doesn't matter what you got, whether it's a big Nova, big Rikon, one-way, Powermatic, large jet. It doesn't matter. It could be a shop smith. It doesn't matter what the lathe is. Somebody who receives this is not going to say, oh, what kind of lathe is that turned on? They're not going to look at it and say, oh, I can tell that was turned on a El Cheapo lathe. They can't do that. You can't tell the difference. So now that's waxed up. We're just going to be taking very light cuts to take this tenon off of here, finish out the top, blend this curve all the way around, and then we'll sand it. A little bit of speed. Right where I want it. Speed is still okay. We never did get very fast with that. Yeah. Get my dust mask back on. Face shield off and mask on. Could keep my mask or my shield on, but it gets awfully bulky between the mask and the shield both. $320. Sanding sealer. Abrasive paste is next. Take off the nibs from the sanding sealer and to do the final bit of sanding. get to the spindle here in a minute. That'll be a whole different ball game. Whether you watch other people do spindle turning or not, I don't know. I don't. Well, I do, but I mostly watch bowl turners, hollow form turners. Spindle is not my big thing. Never has been, really. That's what first things I ever did when I was in high school. It was a spindle for an odd little chair that only had 2 legs. The back leg was basically a so it had whatever the length was. I made them in graduated sizes. It seems like the full size one was to be like maybe a 1x8, but then had a single spindle on the front end, came down from the seat as a support for the seat, but was the second leg. That was the first thing I ever turned, and then played a little bit, did a couple of gear shift knobs, that kind of thing. Years later, when I picked up turning again, it was with pins. Again, spindle turning. I graduated from pins to bowls and the like. It's been non-stop ever since. I haven't looked back. All right, going to take a clean piece of towel. I'm going to let this flash off just a little bit. While that's doing that, let me just continue talking about Worldwide Wood Turners. That's all one word. worldwidewoodturners.org is the website. We do meet on every Wednesday night, starting at 7 o'clock. Unofficially, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Officially, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. We're there for a couple hours, going on well, if you count 7 o'clock hour, we're there for 3 hours usually. You can come and go as you please. You don't have to be there right on time. You don't have to stay to the very end. You do as you please. You come and go as you like. Last night I think we had a little over 100 people who were there, but never all at one time. So some people came in for about 5 minutes and had to leave. Some people got knocked off because of a storm where they live. Usually it's pretty good. We're able to get through a meeting pretty well most of the time. It is starting to get sticky. But anyway, we would love to have you. Like I said, it is no cost to you whatsoever. We would love to have you. We've got room. I forget what our ceiling is right now, but we crossed the first threshold, the freebie, whatever the number is. But we crossed that one. We've gone to a paid subscription now, but there are no dues. So you come and go as you please. Even come first time, just check us out if you want to. No dues. No secret handshakes. No passwords. Simply click on Go to Meeting on the web page, and we will be there and let you in. We would love to have you. Love to have you. We think it's the greatest thing going right now. You may come in and think, well, these guys are a bunch of nuts. That's okay. We are. We know we're nuts. We've got some folks who are very much amateur hobby turners. We got some professional turners. There you have the top. Face shield on. Let's go to cutting. All right, there's the skew work done. Well, the start of it, it's round. Now, a couple of things I want to do. I want to mark out some places. I want to leave about a 1/4 inch down here as waste. Same thing on this other end. About a 1/4 inch as waste. About a 1/2 inch on each end from those marks. I want a tenon. I want about a 1/2 inch tenon. There we go. Okay, there's my tenons. In between those two marks, I want to know what my halfway mark is. We're at 7 1/4. So 3 1/2, 3 5/8 will be my halfway mark. And again, this is not critical where that is. Just want it in the ballpark. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a bead here, and off of that bead, then I'm going to start another bead that's going to go down into a cove and come back up, and these 1/2 inch in, that's going to be my high point on both ends. And then I'll have to look at it because they're not going to be identical. They never are. But I'll look at it and see what I'm seeing. Which end would I like to be the top? So first off, let's make. I'm going to make all 3 of those marks. Actually, all however many 5 of those marks with the skew, just the toe. I'm not going to mark that one. Not going to mark the center one because that's going to be the center of my bead. So I'll mark on either side of it here in just a moment. There we go. Now, I've got the center bead, and then I've got the left and right half bead coming into that one. We'll get a little more cleaning up, especially on this left side over here. In fact, let me do that real quick right now. All right, got a little catch in there. That'll round over when I sand it. Okay, so next I want to go ahead and create my tenons that will be on the 2 ends. I drilled the top and the bottom to 3/4 of an inch. I used a 3/4 inch bit. This is a 3/4 inch boxed in wrench. That's going to be my measuring guide. So I'm going to work the two, my parting tool is not wide enough to get in there to do the whole thing. So I'll do part, I'll bounce back and forth, getting that down to the size that I need. Undercut that just a touch so that when they mate up they'll look good. Let me hit this on the diamond hone. I don't know how much good that's going to do, but we're going to try it. Gotta help. All right. Much better. With that, we're ready to sand. Tool rest out of my way. Start with 100 grit. No, we're going to start with 100 grit. I'm going to turn my speed all the way down. Just a little more, not much. Switch out my face shield for my dust mask. All right. Shouldn't take a whole lot of sanding. Got that big knot right there. Told you I was going to burn these two lines. It's done with a simple piece of wire. I've got a little piece of dowel on each end to use as handles. You don't want to hold it. One, if it catches, it's going to rip your finger right off. Secondly, if the heat travels down this wire, and you don't want to get burned that way either. Turn the speed up a little more. There's the smoke. a couple of black lines. Time for a little sanding sealer. Again. Again. Abrasive paste is going to be next. I used the piece of paper towel that I used the wax with last time. I want to turn it totally inside out. Again, I don't want to run over onto my tenons on the two ends. I want everything covered, but I don't want those tenons to have any of this on it, because one of the ingredients is mineral oil. Mineral oil and glue don't like each other. Another one of the ingredients is beeswax. Glue and any kind of wax don't like each other very much. And so I'm going to go right up to the flats here. These fillets on the two ends, I think is what they're called. Well, that knot looks pretty now. Looks pretty now. All right, turn my speed back down. Same routine as usual. Start slow, let the abrasive do its work, speed it up a little bit on the same spot, letting the abrasive do more work, and then we'll work at cleaning it off. Told you a while ago that set of calipers are very special to me. Those belong to one of my grandfathers. I'm not exactly sure which one now. Got a few tools from both of them, and I'm so glad that I do. My maternal grandparents, both of them, died of cancer. My grandfather smoked heavily. Mostly in those days when the doctors thought it was a good idea. It would calm the nerves. Most of them smoked too. If they didn't smoke pipe or cigarettes, they smoked a pipe or a cigar. My grandfather smoked, if it could be smoked, he smoked it. Mostly a pipe, but he was known to smoke Pall Mall cigarettes, and I'm not sure what kind of cigars he would smoke. Nobody thought about it in those days too much, or we're just starting to think about it, I guess. All right, let's buff this off. So smooth, so smooth. I'll meet you up at my kitchen table. We'll put all of this together to make a wig stand for cancer patients. I'll see you in just a minute back at the kitchen table. We're back, and we're here at the kitchen table, right where I told you I would meet you. We have our three parts. Here's the base, the top, the spindle. This is the riser. It goes between the three, and they will fit something like that. So here you see all three pieces together. The wig can sit here. This is an area for rings, necklaces, bracelets, any kind of jewelry that she might have that needs to have a place to stay. So let's glue it all together and it'll be ready to go. We'll start off with the base. Just a little wood glue here, nothing special. Could be any kind of glue. Well, there it goes. I'll put a little in there. I'm going to put a little around the tenon and around the base of the tenon, just a little. I don't want any squeeze out, or very little, if any. All right. And we do have some squeeze out. Use a mask, it's not being used, it'll go in the wash. So there's that one. Put a little in the top. A little on this tenon here. All right, that's going to be a little too much. I can already see it, so we'll spread it around, thin it out. Squeeze them together, and there you have it. 3 pieces all turned. No blueprints, simply out of my head. Have my maker's mark on the very bottom. Everything is finished in wax. This will go to one of the cancer centers here in the local area, Northern Kentucky, greater Cincinnati area, and I'm sure someone will be glad to have it. So let me challenge you, as I close this video, let me challenge you. Make a wig stand if you're a wood turner particularly, but even if you're not a wood turner, maybe there's another way you can do this, a way you can figure that you can make a wig stand. Make it, give it to a cancer center, give it to an individual that you know going through cancer treatments right now who maybe they're in the process of losing their hair, maybe they've already lost their hair, but make them a wig stand just as a little bit of encouragement. Thank you for being with me. If you've enjoyed the video, if you would hit the like button and the subscribe button, that will help Facebook know, or excuse me, help YouTube know that you enjoy watching these kinds of videos. But if you hit the subscribe, that will help me. It doesn't cost you a thing, but it does help me. It helps with my analytics. If you really like it and you want to see more of what I do, feel free to hit the notification bell as well. That will help you to see when I have a new video that comes out. Got another one planned just around the corner, so maybe it won't be too awful long before I get that one out. And that will be my YTCCC 2021 challenge piece for the month of June. I already know what the subject is, and I know what I'm going to do. It's just a matter of getting down in the shop and doing it. So we look forward to having you come and join us again as we get into the workshop of Wood Spun Round. I'm Doug, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.